up here in the top position. He represents the Afrika Freaks and Olivier. He is Trap.
And in the bottom left, the Italian Stallion representing Team Clash. Give it up for REYNOR. And man, you know what's funny? I'm so used to the audio intros that DreamHack's been doing, and actually I do that when I'm casting by myself as well. I found some free audio. They're called emblem. Or they're not called emblems. They're something like that. And you know, it's nice. And I'm so used to that audio track coming on in after I do an intro that I'm like, this sounds wrong. Like, is everything like? Is there a bug here? It's not. It's just this is just how we're doing our broadcast. But I've trained myself that that's how intros are. That now I just feel this vague sense of unease as Trap will go. We'll attempt to block the third base, or the natural. But REYNOR says, you know what? I'm just gonna take it to the third, and we go from there. Now Zergs have kind of figured out how to deal with this as well. You just kind of send your drone at 100 minerals instead of 170. So then you can say, oh yeah, the probe's coming on in. I'm just immediately gonna go to my third base. It is slightly less efficient than sending it at 170. You miss out on like 15 seconds of mining time, but it makes up for it in that your build is not delayed all that much, and that's exactly what we see here.
Yeah, I think the delays are really the biggest killer here. Like, if you forget the wall for 0.8 of a second, you're gonna have a ton of lings in your base. If you don't have the larva production early on, you're not going to be able to get up to that critical mass of drones, so your economy's not going to be as good. So yeah, just a lot of small timings, and I think this is one of the matchups where timings are the most important for that exact reason. Now we do see a Stalker going to be coming out trying to deny some of that vision as the probe just going to get some confirmation here, make sure that there are drones, meaning that he isn't spending it on lings, and yeah, he feels pretty safe right now to go up to his Stargate play.
Well, you know what, Pastor? I'm not wrong yet. You see what's up in the production tab right now.
I do.
Yep, so it will be a Stargate opener here, and I think this is actually, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because I'm not sure, and I didn't see it. But we do have a Stargate on the way here. Of course, Juggernaut. It's a long map. It's a thin map. And it's surprisingly easy, with how wide open that third looks, it's actually surprisingly easy to hold your third.
Definitely.
Because of the rush distance and everything else. So we will see that Stargate on the way. The question, though, is how does Trap choose to open? Is this going to be Oracle into Phoenix? Most likely not. Is this going to be Void Ray into Oracle, Oracle into Void Ray? And how hard does Trap commit on into this? Those are the questions that we will be asking ourselves today, as we do have an Oracle on the way here. That's no surprise. Trap, again, incredible with his Oracle control. And this allows him to defensively hold his third. We may see a 4-minute third. That's 350 is kind of that early Stargate third timing. We may see something coming out of that, but, well, we're going to have to see exactly where things go. As REYNOR, he's dialing up a couple Zerglings. This is not for too much aggression. It's going to be nice to maybe be able to put some pressure on a third base, catch a probe, something like that. There we go, Trap. Going for that 3 minutes and 54 minutes third base. And the Zerglings will actually scout this.
Yep. Good vision all around here, and I think REYNOR does want to kind of keep that map presence with how aggressive he's being with these lings. We do see the Oracle kind of juggling around. The creep actually isn't connecting the bases just yet, so those queens going to have a little bit of trouble getting around. I don't think there's actually any spore crawlers. No, there are not in the natural either. Okay, so there is one in the main base. Good to go, good to go. And so far, not taking any damage. Pretty good. Except for that one drone, you know. The unlucky one.
Yeah. But you got to remember here, actually, REYNOR's doing a really good job of playing some mind games as well. He only got one spore. I mean, he got a second. I don't even know if he let it complete. I don't believe he did. No, he did let it complete. Okay. But he has been really cheap with the decision to build spores in this game. He really only bought one until the Oracle showed him he had to kind of save a drone. And getting a spore in your natural, it's pretty good anyway, so the third's going to be on the way as well. So he is absolutely in this position where he's been able to skimp as much as possible. And because of that, he has been able to just build drone. Now, we do have a Roachborn on the way, but you know what? Passer, my prediction, it's coming to fruition. I don't know about the game length yet, but we have a second Stargate on the way here. More and more Void Rays on the way, so we're going to see... Trappy's going to go up to about 6 Void Rays. Behind that, we're going to see the Twilight Council, we're going to see the Templar Archive, we're going to see a Robo. He's going to go into Charge Loud Immortal, Archon Storm, and we're going to go from there.
All right, so it's going to come down to when does REYNOR get some view of this. The Adept's going to be coming in, getting a little bit of a poke. Not really going to get too much here. REYNOR pretty good about pulling his drones, but like you said, we're going to be going up to that 6 void ray count. We already see the transition coming on down as well. So not going to overcommit to this, which I think is kind of the problem. You know, when Zest kind of started doing this, he would always commit so heavily that a puff of wind from a Hydralisk transition would literally take the wind out of its sails. And yeah, speaking of Hydralisks, we're actually going to have some in this game. They're kind of necessary at this point.
It's kind of interesting how things have evolved, because before the before the Void Ray buff that we saw, you know, Void Ray, they became cheaper, they became faster. The play for this like kind of turtle, the counter to this kind of turtling Void Race or this turtling Mass Stargate style was you drop an early Spire, you get just tons of Corruptors, and you just kind of sit them over your opponent's base, knock off all the Sky Toss units, and you go from there. Now this Oracle's going to continue to get some damage done. 2 more workers, 3 workers will go down, and yeah, there we go. Trap showing that really good Oracle control, as we are on NA Central. So this is actually the worst server for him in this series as well. Now we do have a couple of Zerglings. They're going to look to see if they can get something done, but no, there are Void Rays at home. There are Void Rays abroad, and there we have it. What's the number? The number is 6, and do we see any more Void Rays on the way? We do not. You know what? I would love to say, Pastor, that this is the fact that I've been talking about this and end up being correct, or some sort of, wow, I know StarCraft really well, but
you better
that
find
I'm some sort of
wood.
savant.
Like, you better find some wood
it's
to knock on right now for that statement. He's knocking on his head, everyone. Yeah, I see
Yeah,
it.
pretty much. But anyway, this is just because this is the same game that we have seen every game for like the last month. As Protoss have kind of realized that, yeah, massive 6 Void Rays, charge Light Immortal Archon Storm behind it, into carriers eventually. That's a pretty good build. So we will see the Void Rays. They're going to Shark on into the main base here, as the Oracle will get picked off. That's going to be a nice move for Trap already. But of course, there are 7 queens in the main base and 2 spores. Yeah, REYNOR, he's not going to take any damage from that. And the 4th base is similarly defended well enough. So Trap, well, he's just going to continue to progress on that tech tree. And we're looking to see REYNOR get a little bit aggressive of his own, and now that looks like what's happening right here. Now, there is no creep highway. It looks like REYNOR, he's just going to clear up some rocks to allow that pressure to come on in later on once Baneling's speed is done. As Baneling speed and Group Spines, I believe, is the timing here.
Yeah, I think I concur with that statement. Like, right now, we do have a ton of Storm energy as well, so this is going to be a really kind of tough sell for REYNOR to move in here. As we do see Trap, he also has that 4th base up in the corner, so that's going to help keep it a little bit safer here as the Void Rays kind of just dancing between it. We do have the Queens here. They don't have the German train. Unfortunately, it doesn't run to Italy this early in the morning. But
no,
here we go.
In respect of the fact, he's gonna storm his own. He's gonna storm his own Zealots. That's not gonna be all that great. But you know, of course, in respect for the fact that Trap is in Korea, we're gonna see a Soul Scroll instead, as the Queens, they will waddle their way across the map in a slow but determined fashion, and they're gonna eventually get there. Don't worry about it. But, you know, some of that army, well, they found their way onto the right-hand side of the map, forcing a decent amount of REYNOR's army back here. Just a lot of Zerglings will be able to clean all this up, but the timing is now on the way. Did I see a... okay, no, I didn't. Thought I saw a Dropper Lord coming on in, but now, well, these storms are going to be dynamite here. Now, we don't have any force fields, and that's a problem. As 3 of the High Templar, they go, only 3 High Templar left.
Okay, yeah, and there's not that much Storm energy left with that, so if REYNOR can kind of keep up this pressure, he's got the Queens. He is pretty much all in with this, by the way. There's no Infestation Pit, no Hive, no upgrades coming in, so this is not necessarily a last-ditch effort, but it's his best chance to win it. He's already forcing the army over to the 3rd base, just trying to get himself a little bit more of a concave, but he's going to be fighting on 2 fronts now. Looks like the High Templars do survive to make Archons, so that's going to help out quite a bit, as there's not that many Banelings left. 7 workers already going down, but the Warpin of Zealots, I think, is enough for Trap to hold on here. But it's still a little bit dicey, as the rest of REYNOR's army going to be coming on in. I think he's done it, though. We might be seeing REYNOR tap out here, except it might be a little bit longer since we do have more Hydralisks on the way. Yeah,
you know what? +1 air is now done, which means that, well, these Warriors are a lot more powerful. There is no Carapace upgrades here for the Blue Zerg player, which means Hydras, they will actually melt to the Void Rays, which is a surprising thing to think about. And you know what? I think Trap was that at least a little bit better, but if those Banelings don't connect, but he had to morph, I think, 4 Storms worth of energy into Archons to make sure he didn't lose his investment. And yeah, Archons are good against Banelings, but Storms are even more so. And now we have REYNOR going for that second barrel once again, but the supply differential is not what it was, as now we will have the Archons go on forward here. That is a lot of Hydras, though, and there is not a lot of Zealots that can get on top of things. But it looks like the Archons, they are marching forward, just enough Zealots to get on top of everything here. The Void Rays, they are firing away, and the army of REYNOR, it is falling apart here in this game number 1 Trap, and looks like he has made a hold once again.
Yeah, just too much splash. Like you said, no Carapace upgrades, so these Archons just getting massive amounts of work. And now, I think Trap, he could move across the map with what he has, but he's not going to throw away any leads. He's not taking any chances here. The carrier going to be coming in 3 at a time. Hurrah, hurrah. And yeah, REYNOR just really going to be struggling here to kind of answer to that. No Spire, no Hive, no... He is getting +2. Okay, that's going to help out a little bit. But yeah, he's in a tricky position here, I think. Especially since he's equal on bases with the Protoss player.
Equal on bases, equal on workers, behind in tech. And you know what's kind of funny? Hydras, they're pretty good against interceptors, up to a point. They're pretty good against interceptors, pretty good against carriers, but we're rapidly approaching the 6 carrier number. That is a terrifying thing when we look at Carrier Storm. And the Hydras, they don't have Carapace. And when we look at things, well, this is +1 air attack, so the interceptors, they benefit from that so severely. And the lack of upgrades, well, that means these Hydras, they're just going to melt. And you know what? Yeah, there's a chance for Microbial Shroud or something, but we're at the point Storm is on the way, so Microbial Shroud is not a really good thing against Skytoss at this point. It's a Storm here button. So now we do have Trap getting ready to move across the map. He says, you know what? I think I've done enough. I think I've held this, and I'm not convinced that you have what you need, as the supplies are going to be roughly equal, only down 9, and that doesn't really matter here. When we look at how much more expensive look at how much more expensive the army of Trap is here, as it is worth 4 times the gas of REYNOR in this game.
That is funny to see. We do have an okay concave over here at the new 5th base. The Banelings, though, being expended on the Archon, so they're not really getting that much damage done. But, oh my goodness, I think he still had some Storm energy left on those High Templar. It's not going to matter, though. There's more than enough here. Trap battling his way forward, and he has got REYNOR figured out in this game. Number 1, GG is called.
Absolutely. You know what? The only thing I got wrong was the fact that the game took about half as long as I thought it was going to, but we still saw the game style REYNOR. He just like, okay, you know what? Solo Stroll, it didn't work out. Okay, game 2. And that's what we're going to see here, but you know what, Passer? Game 2 will be on Oxide, and chances that we see 4 higher automobiles coming out in this game number 2. What do you think?
I think there's a good chance here that we're going to be seeing some automobiles, most certainly. Also, I think they made the wrong map here.
Did they? I didn't even see what I clicked accept. I didn't even see what the lobby was going.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah, trap decline. Okay, there we go.
Miguel, our French caster, is actually the one making the lobbies here. So a little bit of a brain fart. You know, we see Light Shades so much as map number 2 that he probably forgot that other maps exist for this one.
This is true. You know what's funny? When you talk about well, I think in the game number 1 you said something to the effect of, well, you know what, German taxis, they're not close enough to Italy, but I can attest that while taxis may not exist, may not travel there, buses do. Several years ago, during the Lufthansa strikes, I was flying into Italy to go experience Rome and everything like that. But they put me down in Frankfurt and said, you know what, if you want to get to Italy, do it on your own. Yeah. So I took a lovely 18-hour bus ride from Frankfurt to Rome, all through the night, to get there in time for everything that I had to do. So I can attest that at least buses will make that trip. Taxis, though, that's going to be a really hefty taxi fare. And I think, well, Oxide, it's a little bit closer than Italy is. So we may see something like that happen on in here. As, there we go. Looks like we're 3rd time is the charm.
Yeah, REYNOR kind of hanging out, trying to figure out why he lost that one. But, yeah, you're right. I love the buses of Europe. They are so efficient. So we'll have to see if that efficiency does relate to StarCraft 2 play styles here, as we are finally in the lobby, so we should be seeing the players ready on up. We are over to the Western server. A little bit better for Trap. Not that he really needed it. His army, not that microable, you know? He's kind of focusing more on results rather than micro.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not microable. Void Ray micro is actually something that's relatively impactful in engagements like that. You're like, Void Rays, you just kind of A-move and go, but I challenge you to A-move and go against REYNOR and have it really work out for you all that well. Like, let's be real here. These players, they're doing more than just kind of sitting there and A-moving and looking at other things. In fact, I don't know if you saw the, I think it was a GIF of maybe, yeah, someone made about the APM of Trap in the Cyril series and was like, yeah, Trap was playing faster than Cyril was for parts of that game. Which is not something the memes expect out of Protoss, but absolutely, when we look at a player of Trap's level, yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, speaking of these playing down, here in the bottom, he is Africa Freaks Trap.
And in the upper right, in the blue, looking to equalize things in game number 2, give it up for REYNOR. Pastor, you know what? I'm a poet, and I don't even know it. And oh man, I'm sorry. I sound like my mother.
Oh, God.
Apologies indeed. That is a cardinal sin. And actually, REYNOR not sending his drone out early enough. So he will actually take a 17 hatch here, which means the queens will not line up quite as nicely as the 16 hatch. So, well, I don't know whether REYNOR was just not expecting this, but it's a shorter map. You absolutely should expect some sort of probe block here in this game, especially considering Trap's just kind of been doing it a decent amount.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a nuisance, obviously, trying to get that creep spread going, but you really do need to kind of stay on top of that anyway for this matchup. I feel like if you're kind of having trouble getting your units across the map, it's a lot more difficult to attack. So that creep highway is just super important on such a smaller map. Now for this one, the third base a little bit easier to take. It is up there in the corner, so not too bad. You are going to have to travel a further distance, but you know, with Trap's strategy here, I think it's pretty much hold on for that first big attack, and then you can go for that counter damage. Just really just kills the Zerg.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You know, I'm kind of surprised at the strat we saw REYNOR go for in the last game. It was approximating a German. I mean, it was people call that the soul stroll because, you know, the queens waddle instead of fly. But I'm still surprised because so the German taxi build, it's off of like 40 workers, and you move across the map just about 5 minutes. It's a little more than 40 workers, but close enough. REYNOR, though, he waited until he was fully saturated on 4 bases, which, of course, that means that Storm is done. That means that all Void Rays are out. That means Charge is done. That means upgrades are done. So REYNOR allowed Trap to get past that kind of salient window of I'm kind of vulnerable here as I'm making my tech transition.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm kind of surprised we saw that. We saw the German taxi that was just not quite as a taxi and just a little bit slower. And I get it. You know, REYNOR says, you know, I want to maybe have a late game option here. I don't want to go super freaking all in super early. But I think on the flip side, I think that just allowed Trap to get a little bit further into his goodies in that game. And, well, it's a long map. It's hard to waddle your queens across. And it just was not able to get enough. So I'm curious to see what REYNOR goes for here. Whether he decides to do something similar where he will hit for the full-on German taxi. Whether we see that 4-minute layer is kind of a good marker for that, whether we see Overlord speed on the way.
Ooh.
But we're just going to have to see what happens.
And speaking of what's happening here, Trap going to be going up to that first Void Ray. That's going to be pretty useful because it'll allow him to kind of keep these Overlords away. It's going to force REYNOR to use these Zerglings for the map vision, which, by the way, he is doing a pretty good job of, just trying to keep an eye on the third bases, make sure those don't go down at a reasonable time. But, yeah, it looks like it's pretty much just the reverse here. Void Ray into Oracle. We might see the same thing. I think Trap is a creature of habit in some of these smaller events. And that's actually something to note as well for Trap's kind of record. Yes, he's won those huge events, but even for the smaller ones where there's less of a prize pool, there's less of a kind of risk to your reputation if you go down, he still shows up and he still does fantastically well. REYNOR, you know, I don't really see him that much in smaller events. So, and that's just one thing to note for this, although the Adepts, pretty bad start for Trap there. Losing those, not really going to get that much information out of them, but here we go. Oracle, 3 workers down already. And let's see that control come into play. Fantastic
Yeah,
work.
six total workers will die here, which, you know, sure, maybe Trap wanted to get a little bit more, not lose his Adepts that easily, but 6 workers, it's going to be worthwhile here for Trap as he's now taking his 3rd base. And actually, he's got it done. So this is once again that like 4-ish, 410. Second Stargate is now done. And we're kind of seeing a rehash of game number 1, except the map is smaller. And you know what, Pastor? You talk about, oh, well, you know what? We don't see REYNOR in these smaller tournaments. We maybe see Trap a little bit more, but this is not all that small of a tournament. You know, for a couple hours work, first place is $500, plus whatever Matcherino contributes. So those of you watching in the audience, well, exclamation mark Matcherino, go contribute, it's free. That's my one plug for that we'll do in game as I think about it. But this is not going to be the German taxi, not in this game. The Roach Warren, it's a little bit late for that. The Hydra Den is what's going to come on in here. And well, REYNOR, he's moving on into the mid game. He may try to hit some sort of Hydra Ling timing, but certainly he's not going to move across the map and try to hit with that sledgehammer 5 minutes 30, 5 minutes and 45-second timing that we've seen so successful. But Trap has shown that he's absolutely a master at holding.
Yep, looks, you know, funnily enough, I think Roaches would actually be pretty decent in this situation, getting a couple biles here and there, and also something that can kind of tank the Storm a little bit more. We didn't actually see any in that last game, even though he does have that for a little bit of a defensive position. But yeah, everything is kind of shaping up just like game number 1. The Templar Archives just dropping. And yeah, while Trap is being a little bit more aggressive here, he's got to be careful. He's taking a lot of damage on that Void Ray. Oh my goodness, that is an actually nice pickup for REYNOR.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at how this game goes, even one Void Ray going down before the eventual hold that we got to assume that Trap is going to have to deal with in this game, well, that's a lot of DPS. That is a lot of holding potential that Trap just doesn't have, not anymore. And oh, the Oracle is going to go down as well. Yeah, there's going to be a reveal, but Oracle will go down. As now REYNOR, he's got his 4th base. It's on the way. We are seeing more and more drones. He's going up to 80 workers here, so even more than we saw last game. But once again, he's not looking to hit that pre-storm timing that is perhaps impactful, that is perhaps something really powerful here, because Baneling Speed's not going to be done. That being said, you know what, actually? REYNOR did decide to go muscular augments first. That will mean that he is able to move across the map a little bit faster, but I think this is still the groove spine timing, which is interesting. Because if you're going to wait for that anyways, it doesn't really matter which way you go, and Groove Spines does provide you that defensive option. So I'm surprised we do see REYNOR going for muscular augments first. That kind of implies that he's looking for a faster timing, but with Baneling Speed coming on in when it is, I don't think we're going to see it like that.
Interesting as well. We have that Robo facility coming on in, so there is a potential for Disruptors or Colossus off the back. There's both of them. Very good AoE versus what REYNOR is going for. We do see a couple of kind of defensive Archons morphed in as well, just trying to be as safe as possible. But yeah, I mean, we should be seeing REYNOR move out right about now. Like you said, it's the Groove Spines timing. The Queens will have a little bit of an easier time here with how heavy that creep spread is. Not a lot here, but there is at least 4 Storms ready to go. And here we go. We'll have to see if REYNOR can really make this work. It's a really tight choke point here, so I'm a bit worried about engaging into this position. I do love the double prong here that we do see on the right side of the map.
First Storm will go off, will not really land, but of course some of these Templar have a decent amount of energy, multiple Storms to their name, but Banelings will connect. One High Templar will go down. There are no more Storms. Actually, no, there's one more, excuse me. And now actually looks like REYNOR, he's making a much better fight of this than we saw in game number 1. It looks like he will, in fact, be able to breach the 4th base, and that is the first step to victory here. Although, as we do see more Warpins, Charge Lots are really good against Hydras here in this game. But no, the Hydras, they're going to be able to bust on through this. The 4th base will go down, I think, as Trap, he's going to do what he can to make a hold. But no, REYNOR looks like he has exactly what he needs to make sure that this happens. As more and more Hydras, more and more Zerglings, they're running their way across the map. And as we see more and more things going, I'm surprised. I would like to see a couple more Banelings here just to defend against these +1 charge lots. And while we talk about things, Trap, he does not have +1 air on the way, not this time. The Void Rays are not going to be as impactful as they could possibly be, and they're going to go down anyways. GG, REYNOR! He's going to take game 2. We're moving to game 3.
Yeah, I think
You know what?
I think the big problem with that was we did see him start to go for Immortals, which is just a strange choice because they don't really do a lot versus Hydraling Bane. Might be a little bit of an oversight there from Trap, but yeah, I think that was kind of the move that killed him. He invested a little bit too much into that. The Storms didn't really get the damage done that they needed to, and yeah, unfortunately, we're going into game number 3. Well, not unfortunately.
You know, yeah, I'm pretty excited we're going on to game 3 here. You know what? I got to say, Pastor, I'm 2 for 2. So, chat, trust me, I know what I'm doing just a tiny bit. But, you know what's interesting? You talk about Immortals here. I don't hate it. You have a Robo, you might as well use it for something. And Void Rays, they're really bursty damage, so that it potentially allows you to maybe get through the Queens a little bit more. Immortals can tank Banelings really well. And they're just a lot of damage to add to an army. Even if, yeah, they get shredded because they're not quite as impactful. But with Hardened Shields, they're going to be good enough. But game number 3, it is on Submarine. It is the shortest shortest rush distance in the pool. And, well, are we going to see really early aggression coming from REYNOR here? What do you think?
If anyone is going to do it, I think that is going to be REYNOR starting thing. I mean, we've gone from the biggest map in the pool, I believe, to the smallest, and that's really just oh no, because we saw this. I'm losing my English. It's like 5 a.m. Sorry about that, guys. But we went from the biggest map, the smaller the map gets, I think the better it goes for REYNOR because he's that aggressive player, because he can get across the map with his queens a lot more, so they're a lot more impactful for the fight, and he doesn't have to waste the Overlord carrying him around like you know, a bunch of Karens. But yeah, we should see how that works out for him in this game. And speaking of games, let's show you this one. Spawning up here in the top position, he is Trap.
And in the bottom right, in the blue, the cheeky Zerg player from Italy. Give it up for REYNOR. And you know what's kind of funny with what you were talking about? How, you know, the shorter the map, the better it is for REYNOR. And I think I will agree, but it's interesting because that is such a juxtaposition of like your traditional thinking about how Zerg plays, where, you know, for years now, it's been, oh, the bigger the map, the better it is for Zerg. They can take a third base better. And REYNOR going for a 16 pool here instead of taking a third base that he doesn't necessarily want to take. So now the drone, or the probe will find its way on into the main base, say, oh, hey, there's a pool on the way. And REYNOR will be able to take his natural as he would normally do. So there we go. Natural will go on down. Mind games upon mind games upon mind games. Now, Trap will be aware of the timing here. He says, look, okay, I'm in the main base. It is minute 10, I think, is when he reached the main base. Your pool's not done. It's not as close to being done as a 12 pool would be. I'm not all that worried. But it is something that he has to be aware of, as we will see 6 Zerglings on the way. And now the gas is on the way. So behind this, REYNOR, he's not doing anything crazy. At least not yet. He does have an opportunity to maybe hit a speedling timing. Armani was actually one of the first players to do this on this map. In particular, at least his game is the archetypical one, where he took a third base, but he only stayed on 21 workers and just flooded speedlings at that 3:30 time to kill Zest. This was like about a year ago, I think, is when we were looking at that. But anyway,
right,
that may be what we see REYNOR go over here. I don't think so. REYNOR, he's a scary macro player. I think we're probably going to see him at a later timing. And in all honesty, Stargate builds are pretty strong against that type of thing anyways.
You know, like, if we're talking about who REYNOR is most like, I think REYNOR takes the most from Cyril here, except Trap this time doesn't actually have his wall off complete, so the Zealot going to have to be microed quite well here in order to save that. But yeah, we did see very recently Cyril go for the very same thing versus the very same player. Looks like Trap, though, will be able to kind of push this back. Didn't really need the wall, although this does mean that there is going to be some scouting information for REYNOR going in. He's not going to see too much because Trap hasn't thrown anything down. But, yeah, you know, a good, I'd say a relatively okay start for REYNOR. He did
Well,
have
you
to...
got to remember.
Yeah.
Sarah went for a 12 pool, and Trap actually showed some just absolutely godlike micro defending that. This was a 16 pool. It really was not intended to get anything. So knocking off a zealot, knocking off a probe, already a pretty good thing. As REYNOR going for a little bit delayed third base here, not the end of the world, and this just may be an adaptation due to it being pool first. But generally, you take your third around 28 to 30 supply. 36 is pushing it back just a little. I don't think it's going to be all that impactful in this game, but something to keep an eye on here as we do go on into this game. And this is the interesting thing. Once again, I think Trap's been doing this, and maybe this is just the new build. I haven't had a chance to look at things too closely yet. But this is a Warp Gate into Stargate, not Stargate into Warp Gate, which is generally what you see. So that is kind of one of the points when you do scout with that first Overlord. You say, oh, it's at 220. Has my opponent dropped their Warp Gate? If we're not researching, it's a Stargate play. That's not exactly what happens here. And that's a little bit of a tricky memery, a little bit of tricky mind games that we're going to see Trap go for here. It's something we're seeing more and more common because I think Protoss are kind of realizing that I really like having Warp Gate. Getting Stargate that fast does not often get me all that much with how good Zergs are making sure they hit that timing anyways. So we go from there. Maybe I can hide things just a little.
I think the fact that Trap didn't go for that second gateway in the wall as well kind of put him into a much better position, as it did allow him to kind of get down his tech a little bit quicker. The Ling's going to get in once again. Just gets the scout around. I believe he did see that it is Oracle going to be coming on the way, so this is about 2 to 3 Oracles. Trap's, I don't want to say favorite unit, but it's probably his favorite unit. All things considered. Unfortunately, though, expending a lot of energy chasing down these Lings. So, overall, not the best, but here we go. Trap actually going to be getting a huge move out here with these Adepts as well. They don't have Glaives, but they can still do quite a bit versus these Lings. This is a pretty nice move out here, which does kind of lend to the fact that he did get Warp Gate, like you said, at that timing, BeoMulf. And yeah, here we go. The Adepts are just going to be pushing these back, trying to get some of that creep tumor as well. The Queens will have to respread that. But, you know, I don't think Trap is actually going to commit to this too heavily. We'll have to see here as they do find a good position.
Oh, man, what a caster curse there. He's not going to commit as he does commit immediately. But REYNOR looks like he will be able to clean up most of this. But that being said, those 6 workers have gone down. We're going to see 2 more Adepts find their way into the main base. And as they just start to target down more and more drones. 8, 9 workers. Okay, only 8 will go down. A nice little move there from Trap. I think he probably could have gotten more done even earlier. And there was a point, it was, I think it was like 6 Adepts to 9 Zerglings. But Trap didn't necessarily know that. Now we have a counterattack coming out into the third base. And this is a kind of a fake third. Look at this. Only 1 probe on the third base at this point. Trap has been very much committing to that pressure. And as a result, REYNOR, even though he did lose 6 workers, I don't think he's going to be all that upset just seeing how little economy is sitting here on the third base. Now Trap behind this. We do have Blink on the way, +1 on the way. And it looks like he may be looking to, well, it's interesting. We don't see, the Robo's only just now on the way, so we're not going to see, say, Blink Colossus or something, not all that early. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what Trap is going for in this game, because really his economy is late, but he's not gotten into tech all that much. And we're just going to have to see where we go from here.
Yeah, getting another 3 workers, but losing the Oracle for it. He will get that Revelation off. Once again, we do see kind of the same out of REYNOR. Once again, getting that creep highway, kind of heading around. Oh, it's actually Blink for Trap this time. Did he get charged? He did not. So that's pretty interesting little change up here, as he does see the REYNOR is going to be going for Roaches. So honestly, a pretty good choice.
Yeah, you got to remember, Trap has not got a second Stargate in this game. This is him realizing that you really can't go for that really greedy, I'm going to get double Stargate, and I'm just going to be able to defend build. As that nice little move there from the Zerglings, not necessarily getting a bunch of explicit damage done. I mean, no workers died, but they have removed both shield batteries from the third base at this point. And that means that as a Baneling run by something later on will be incredibly impactful. That being said, though, the Baneling nest, it's 7 minutes and 40 seconds. The Baneling nest is not even done, so Baneling speed is not going to be done much before 10 minutes at this point. That being said, REYNOR, he's playing a defensive game. 4th base is on the way. And in all honesty, REYNOR does the imperative on him to get damage done in this game is not nearly what it was in previous games. Robo Bay is just about on the way here, and I think actually we're going to see Disruptor play because there's a second Robo on the way here.
Okay, so Trap just almost losing that Oracle. And yeah, we do see that second Robo Bay. I think that's a little bit more reactionary, seeing that it is going to be Roaches this time. And yeah, I like that choice. Disruptors as well could be so devastating versus this. I think 80 to 90% of the OMG moments on Reddit are just the Disruptors getting those beautiful shots off. But yeah, both sides just kind of playing it defensive for right now. Nothing really too much else to say. It's a standard mid game with both sides just kind of powering up to that late game army.
Yeah, you know, I think I would like to see REYNOR drop an Infestation Pit at some point, get to a relatively quick hive. That is the kind of thing that Roach Ravager allows you to do. And on top of that, you really want Vipers to deal with Disruptors. You can't. It's kind of hard to take the fight anyways. But no, okay, so we're going to go up to 3 Disruptors, and it's going to be Colossus behind us. That's a pretty cool move. As now we have REYNOR. He's forcing Trap to make a defense on 2 locations at once, which means the 4th base will go down. And REYNOR looks like he should be able to survive and actually escape here, but no. Ooh. We actually have REYNOR coming in with a full flank. Now those force fields are going to be really nice, but the Disruptor shots, they're not going to get a whole lot done here, not at first. And now the Banelings, they're crashing on in. No, the Stalkers, they blink back just in time, but all the tech here from Trap, it's all going down. And this Disruptor shot on the right-hand side will have to be massive, and it is! All the Ravagers, they go down, and maybe, just maybe, with that, Trap will be able to hold. He will be able to stabilize here, at least until the next barrel of REYNOR's attack finds its way on in. But those Disruptor shots, absolutely game-saving here for Trap in this game number 3.
That was a fantastic hold. Trap, just not really faltering here, but we do have 22 additional Banelings on the way. Taking a look at that battle report here. So many units killed. Kind of interesting that REYNOR killed about 10 of his own Banelings there, according to that. A little bit of a bug there. But yeah, we do see him going up to Hive. We're going to see him get those +2 upgrades, attack on both sides. And yeah, we see the Colossus transition from Trap, which will help out versus the Lings, versus the Banelings. But I think you do need a couple more force fields here in those sentries, as we do see REYNOR going to be diving in once again with a 40 army supply lead.
Absolutely. Now Banelings looking to connect. So many of them. So many of these workers will go down. Banelings, though, it looks like they're not gonna. The rest of them not gonna get a whole lot done. But once again, the 4th base is going to be delayed. These Banelings looking to make a connection, but you know what? Trap's got a scary army, and yeah, he's down 20 army supply, but most of this supply lead is in the fact that this is a 30 worker lead. That being said, though, now Trap, he's getting ready to move on in here, and this is functionally just it's just a Colossus Disruptor all in. Sometimes you see this off of 2 bases, sometimes you see it off of 3, and that is what REYNOR has forced Trap to do in this game. But REYNOR, he's got a big economy. He does have a flank coming on in here from every side, and Trap, he is attempting to fight on creep, something that is always scary. Although these Roaches will get chased down here. And, well, Trap, he's just going to have to keep pushing on forward. He doesn't really have much of a choice. His economy is in the dumps. He's on functionally 2.5 bases, and, well, REYNOR, he's on 5.
Yeah, this is really not the situation we want to be in. The Stalker's really not going to be that useful anymore as the Baneling wave. Enough to close it out, and REYNOR takes his place on the top of the swarm.